Hello, everyone. Welcome to the program. This is Politics Today, live on Channels Television. I'm Sean Kimale in Abuja. So much to talk about. So let's get straight to it, everyone. Let's begin in Ekiti State, where the governorship election will hold on Saturday, but it will be a big test for INEC's ability to infuse all its recent reviews of the electoral process, including the law and its guidelines, into the conduct of Saturday's election. So today, the umpire met with different stakeholders to compare notes and speak about the preparations ahead of the Saturday poll, logistics, security, and how prepared the different political parties are, including the recent violent issues that we have seen on the ground in Ekiti State. Take a listen to the INEC INEC chairman, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu.
We have taken every step to ensure the successful conduct of the election this weekend. We held many meetings with political parties and their candidates. We had several engagements with the security agencies at the national, state, and local government levels. We consulted with stakeholders. We sought for and received the blessings of the royal fathers and religious leaders. We have recruited, trained, and carefully screened all categories of ad hoc staff to be deployed to the field. We have delivered all non-sensitive materials for the election. The sensitive materials will arrive at Ekiti this afternoon. Voter education and sensitization is ongoing. We have made arrangements for the deployment of men and materials to all polling units on election day. For a more effective supervision of the process, we have deployed 4 national commissioners and 8 resident electoral commissioners and many senior officials to support our state office in Ado Ekiti to deliver credible elections.
Well, you heard him there. INEC Chairman Professor Mahmoud Yakubu. Our eyes are on that election as our reporters are going to be combing every nook and cranny of Ekiti State for you. And of course, we have some very, very special coverage for you for that election. So stick with Channels Television. Well, before we get into the matter, that has gotten a lot of Nigerians talking about the issues of ethnicity in religion and some of the issues that have characterized the last week of politics in Nigeria, and the issue of running mate. And where would it be picked, and who is being picked, and what religion? The different persons that will be picked are operating, and different issues get our attention tonight, and we're going to be debating and talking about those issues. So stay with me, everyone. But first, let's check out some of your political roundup stories.
The Senate today resumed plenary and witnessed the defection of 3 prominent legislators to other political parties. Senate Minority Leader Senator Inaya Baribe has left the main opposition People's Democratic Party to the All Progressives Grand Alliance, while the Majority Leader Senator Yahya Abdullahi has defected from the ruling All Progressives Congress to the opposition PDP. His colleague also representing Kebbi State, Senator Adamu Aliero, has also defected to the PDP. Speaker of the House of Representatives, Femi Gbajabiamila, is questioning the political parties' primaries held across the country, which saw about 178 members of the House of Representatives fail to secure a return ticket in their various parties. He stated this in his opening remarks to the House at the resumption of plenary after over a month of recess. According to him, many members lost because of the process of primaries using delegate system, which is what the House was fighting for by making direct primaries compulsory in the Electoral Act, which the President had refused to sign.
We fought for direct primaries in this House. We knew exactly what we were saying. And it is that fight and the kick and the pushback by many who knew or felt they knew what they wanted to do.
Ahead of the 2023 general elections, APC youths from Taraba State, under the aegis of Coalition of Civil Society for Democracy, are calling on the leadership of the party to address the crisis rocking the party in the state, as they allege that the primary election that produced Senator Emmanuel Boache as the governorship candidate of the party in the state is a sham. Speaking in Abuja after staging a peaceful protest to the national headquarters of the party, the convener of the coalition, Mr. Richard Leke, says the APC governorship primary election in Taraba State failed to organize a proper election.
We are leading our voices to tell the national leadership of APC, saying the people of Taraba said normal and legitimate process must be taken to ensure the most popular and most acceptable candidate emerges.
The Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Malam Mohammed Bello, is charging the new area council chairman to ensure that they remain servants of the people and focus on projects that are truly beneficial to the people. He gave the charge in Abuja at the swearing-in ceremony of 6 new area council chairmen for the nation's capital.
Don't you ever allow a primary healthcare in your area council to be without water, to be without lights, to be without staff, so that woman who is pregnant, or that young boy who has diarrhea, or that young girl that has malaria.
And a former senator representing Rivers Southeast, Magnus Abe, says it is not enough for the people of Rivers State to be conscious about registering and obtaining a permanent voter's card, but to mobilize for voting and ensure that their votes count.
At this point in Rivers State, can we go and hire somebody that we don't know to come and be the governor of our state?
Ladies and gentlemen, wherever you may be watching tonight, there are 2 factors that have characterized our politics in this country: religion and ethnicity. Either you like it or not, as distasteful as those factors are in our politics, they are a major issue that you cannot run away from. It's either it determines who gets what or how they get it, but usually it's a constant factor. Politicians go, politicians come. Those 2 factors have either bedeviled or been a major factor of our politics in Nigeria. And now, let's come back to the fray again. So, now, let's begin by letting you know that the governors of the APC have today met with President Buhari at the presidential villa. After the meeting, Governor Hope Uzodinma of Imo State was the one who briefed journalists about the issue of running mates to the APC presidential candidate Bola Tinubu. He says numbers play a key role in the ability of a political party to win elections. Since Tinubu won the presidential ticket of the APC, there have been concerns about the geopolitical zone and the religion of his running mate. It's been a big debate. Take a listen to Governor Hope Uzodinma.
There is nowhere in the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria where religion is a factor or a characteristics as to who becomes the president or who becomes the running mate. But we are looking for a united Nigeria where governance will be the issue, where a president will be adjudged by his capacity to deliver democratic dividends, develop Nigeria to look like other parts of the Western world where democracy is working. I don't want us to reduce governance in Nigeria to certain things that will encourage divisiveness. Rather, we should be a united Nigeria, be our brothers' keepers, have a president of Nigeria that will be a president representing every tribe, every religion, every denomination. Yes, and when we get there, we'll cross the bridge.
Yeah, you heard him there. Governor of Imo State, Hope Uzodinma, speaking about the issue of running mate. But there are a series of permutations going on, especially on the choice of a running mate for Bola Tinubu. But what are the immediate tasks before the flag bearer and the party? The choice of a running mate, the religious balancing of a running mate, the fence mending issue, and the internal party healing are some of the major issues that is confronting, that will confront Bola Tinubu. Compensation and incompensation, because there are some people who step down, who have lost it, but they need to be compensated. Some need to be recompensed on whatever they have done. Party cohesion and assigning role, aside that, Tinubu will have to consider some factors that will determine who he picks as running mate. He may even have to pander to Buhari's preference. The governor's role in campaign makes them a go-to, so he needs to consult the governors, and there are even strong signals that he might even be picking from the governors. Well, the governors will come up with a short list of nominations. They've met with the president today. Maybe they discuss that. The flag bearer will consider eventually Buhari's choice, from what we understand, that he will give that preference to President Muhammadu Buhari for final nominations. Well, the time is ticking, and he has just little time to do all of that. But take a look at those names that have come up as far as the possibility of Bola Tinubu's running mate. There talks about the governor of Borno State, Babangana Zulum. In fact, his predecessor is also in the running for these, Senator Kashim Shettima and Governor Simon Lalong. But in all of this, there are those who think that it might be a Muslim ticket. If Tinubu or the APC wants to win the election, they are thinking that it needs to go for a Muslim northerner, because that has been a major factor. Now, in the PDP, there's also the issue that the Southeasterners are saying you have to pick from the Southeast. And Governor Wike of Rivers State and Governor of Delta State, Ifeanyi are one of those who are in the front in all of this conversation. Now, why has the running mate matter become a major factor? Before these men and women emerged as the candidate of their different political parties, there are a lot of talks. Now, running mate has brought this debate to the front burner. So why has religion and ethnicity played so much of this factor, especially in the northern region of the country? Let's take a look at some of these issues. And I'm being joined tonight by the spokesperson of the Northern Elders Forum, Dr. Hakim Baba Ahmed. Thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you very much.
And I have Mr. Daniel Bwala, who is a member of the APC, a lawyer, and a member of the Lincoln Team. Thank you so much, Mr. Bwala, for coming.
Thank you for
Interestingly, Dr. Hakim Baba Ahmed is a Muslim. Mr. Daniel Bwala is a Christian from Borno State.
Yeah.
Interesting conversation it will turn out to be. From your own perspective, you've been a civil servant for several years, Dr. Ahmed. You've been in the National Assembly as a technical advisor and, to a former Senate president. So you understand a lot of issues. Give me your understanding of how or what role the issue of religion is playing. Can a Muslim ticket or a Christian ticket fly in Nigeria of today? The youth wing of the Christian Association yesterday won and said, look, if anybody does a Christian ticket or Muslim ticket, that party will fail. What are your views?
Well, I think there's a lot of deception here, which has gathered momentum as politicians began to learn more and more of the weaknesses of ordinary Nigerians. 99% of us as ordinary Nigerians are devout Christians and Muslims. We care very deeply about personal faith. We care about the fortunes of our faith. We don't like to be attacked or affected because we are Christians or Muslims. And by and large, in most instances, our faith is safe. Politicians use faith and other forms of identity politics to race for power. This is basically what it is. And it's becoming clearer and clearer and clearer that every time politics comes in, religion surfaces as a factor. And what it does is it creates this idea that Nigerians will fight because the deputy, the vice president is not a Christian or a Muslim. We won't. We would not fight because if you go back to, go down in history, there is not a single thing that any Christian has benefited from the times when either a Christian was a president or a Christian was a vice president. There's nothing that a Muslim has benefited from because the president is a Muslim or he's a vice president. But when you hear them talk now, it's as if it's central to your being a Muslim or being a Christian if your so-called man is not in the presidency. It's nonsense. It's the most deceptive thing politicians do, and what is even more damaging is that they're making it worse now, at precisely the time when we need to have quality leadership. Good people emerge, irrespective of their faith, who would govern this country and pull it out of this, the quagmire that we're in. politicians are bringing in all these factors that are specifically targeted at giving them, the few of them, certain advantages. That's basically what it is. Like I said, Christianity does not suffer because the Christian is not, because the president is not a Christian. President Buhari has not done a single thing that has benefited a single Muslim in the last 7 years. For the entire 8 years that Obasanjo was president, not a single thing was done. And I was part of his government. I was a permanent secretary for the entire period there. I didn't see a single thing that he did that you could say specifically benefited the Christians of Nigeria. I didn't see that. And it's the same thing with all the way through. And now you hear these people talk, it has to be a Muslim ticket. The ordinary Nigerian doesn't care. That is the honest truth. Well, I'm telling you, I come from the Northwest. The Northwest is being targeted as the most populous zone, but you must get the religious balance right, you must get this right, and you must get right. And I'm telling you, I have a political party. I'm a member of the PRP. Do you know what the ordinary delegates that we got together in 3,700 people to choose who was going to fly our flag? You know who our flag is, Sean? Who our Kola Abiola, yeah. Do you know how he emerged? We just simply asked ordinary folks who were delegates, 4 from each local government. Who do you want out of these 4 people? Some of them, I mean, most of them, excellent people. Who do you want to fly the flag? The bulk of the people are from the north. Majority are Muslims. They chose a Yoruba man from Ogun State on their own. But the politicians are playing a game with the faith and the intelligence and the future of our people.
But in truth, Dr. Akim Baba Ahmed, can you jettison or look away from religious balancing in this country?
Absolutely.
Has it not been a major factor in determining?
It becomes a factor only during elections.
So those who are considering it are not lying to themselves, are they?
Well, if religion was such a dominant factor in terms of how Muslims and Christians live all the time, we'll be fighting each other every single day. Because every single day we'll be fighting over, I didn't get anything because I'm a Muslim. We come from the north. My brother here and I come from the north. He's Christian, I'm a Muslim. Every once in a while we have clashes. Sometimes a lot of these clashes that you see are between communities that are either entirely Christian or sometimes Muslim. Sometimes in a few instances like we've seen in the last few days in Adamawa, in Gombe, in Bauchi, they involve Muslims and Christians. If you go down to the bottom of it, it has nothing to do with the church or the mosque. It has to do with some communal issues.
Let me bring in Mr. Babwala.
All right.
You are a member of the APC.
Right.
How much of effect does the issue of religion balancing does for your party, or is for your party?
Well, one thing is that a political party can choose a path to winning election. And howsoever they choose, it might be their best strategy for doing that. And that path that they choose may not reflect the true spirit and intent of the Constitution. That is what is called national objective, which was formulated immediately after the Civil War. The idea behind the national objective is to reflect the true spirit of the Constitution so that there will be a reflection of inclusiveness, diversity, sense of belonging. And the idea behind that is so that every part of Nigeria, everybody will feel this is our own. That's why when you hear politicians talking, they will say, this country belongs to all of us. Why is the mention of that? Because it is meant to reflect the spirit and intent of the Constitution. Now, when you talk about competence and you try to make the case that it overrides some of these other considerations like religion, you can pick one tribe in Nigeria, and from that tribe you can get competent people and appoint president, vice president, senate president, deputy senate president, speaker, deputy, and all the DGs or parastatal in that one tribe, and they will be competent and they will rule the country effectively. But does that reflect the spirit of the Constitution? Now, when you bring it down to our political party, you see, political parties are a vehicle through which power is attained for the purposes of implementing the Constitution. There are certain things that are not expressly mentioned in the Constitution, but they are the reflection of the spirit of the Constitution. Above all is diversity, inclusiveness, cohesion, national integration, and a sense of belonging by everyone. It is not to be said, it must be seen to be in effect by the common man of the society. So how do I bring it to our party? I did a video immediately after Asiwaju emerged as the flag bearer. And in that video, I made clear my position or opinion regarding the Muslim ticket and Muslim Christian. And I laid the background that, for example, now the vice president is coming from the north. Most likely the party may move it to the northeast. But the north is one, but consists of tribes and religion. Now, because the presidential candidate is from the south and a Muslim, historically in Nigeria, it is only necessary that the vice presidential candidate should be a Christian. So some people make the case that it doesn't really matter. And some even make the case that, look, if you take a Christian, we will not win the election. Sadly enough, those who advocate that are stakeholders that are supposed to promote that and then put their heads and their hearts to make sure it works. Because it happened just 2 weeks ago when the party chairman said, I make a determination, this is the consensus candidate. And the party, they say party is supreme. But governors came together and said, no, we don't believe in that. For the purposes of cohesion, it has to go to the south. And they made clear, they talked about fairness, equity, and justice. Why did they do that? They are trying to reflect the spirit of the Constitution, even though it is not in the Constitution. So it behoves of the same set of people to look inward, and now that it affects their own region, to say, we should even show that charity much more at home. Let me tell you something, if you don't mind. Sir Ahmadu Bello, the Sardona of Sokoto, was the father of the northernization philosophy and agenda. And he built that philosophy and agenda on the notion that a northerner, irrespective of his religion, tribe, is a northerner and has access to equal opportunity with others for the purposes of shared prosperity. During his time, he demonstrated that in leadership, there was no distinction between Christians and Muslims, Sardona. And that is why around the time, the North, even the British government, could reckon with that. Over a period of time, this philosophy got diluted by politicians because of selfish interests. So much so that now there is a division. That, for example, Boala will be needed to pursue the course of the Northern agenda. But when it comes to sharing of equal opportunity, then my brothers in the North will say, Boala, whether expressly or impliedly, you can get it because it's a game of numbers. I expect that the governors are the ones that will say, look, for equality, for equity, it should be a Northern Christian, and we will be on the field. All right, so
you don't agree with a Muslim ticket?
I do not agree, but let me make the point. The decision of the vice presidential candidate is absolute with the presidential candidate. Nobody can change his decision. And the choice of who he chooses is discretionary.
But can the party prevail upon him?
No, the party can suggest, but the discretion is absolutely his own. But what happened is that now everybody is engaging. We're all providing facts and information that will help him in making a decision. And in fact, in my view, it is not so much of Asiwaju because he has demonstrated diversity all through his life. Look at Lagos, his wife is a pastor. He doesn't have that problem. If my northern leaders say this is a Christian candidate, Asiwaju will recommend that you take him, he will take him. And that is why, in my view, Mr. President, who has in 2014 unequivocally said, Muslim ticket cannot work, this is the time for him to balance.
So let me ask you, I asked a direct question to Dr. Hakim Ahmed. In Nigeria of today, can a Christian northerner win an election for your party?
He can win if the northern Muslims agree with the vision and go to fight for him on the basis of equality, fairness, and inclusiveness.
So let me come back to Dr. Hakim Ahmed. Now, the PDP, for example, used this narrative and they said, look, we want to win election. And perhaps the reason why they didn't go to the south and they went to the north to pick Atiku Abubakar. And so that narrative, of course, is coming to the APC now to say, look, we want to win election. And that's why we may not reckon. There are some of those who believe in the APC that religion should not be an issue. So I'd like you to give your understanding of what is happening. And perhaps let me ask you this direct question too. In Nigeria of today, can a Christian northerner win an election for a party like the APC, for example, who has a Muslim southerner?
Well, I don't see why not. See, there are many factors at play. I understand that we're focusing on faith now, because what is playing out is the identity politics, ethnicity, your identity, you know, whether you're northern or southern, and you're focusing on these two parties. There's a lot going on beyond these two parties. And there's a lot of lesson to learn from the way people live. I'm telling you, ordinary Nigerians do not consider the faith of leaders now as central to the way they exist. We've been taught some terrible lessons from recent leaders who may have benefited from religious politics but have abandoned the people with whom they share the same faith. And I think people are wiser now. Now, you ask a question, can a Christian northerner become a president? The North doesn't belong to Muslims. It belongs to Muslims and Christians. And if a political party is willing to field a northerner because it believes he's the most competent person to become, to get a ticket, why not? In my state, in Kaduna State, let me remind you, we had a governor who won an election. And the Christian population is in a minority, the late Yekowa. He was voted as a governor in Kaduna, he's from southern Kaduna State. He became a governor. He died in a plane accident. You know, you remember that. So, and Kaduna is the front line of all the religious conflicts that we've had.
But would you support a Christian ticket?
Yes, why not? Look, I would only ask question. Yeah. I will only ask one question. Your faith is your faith. You're not going to bring it into the office. And this is the point. Your faith, I want to see you as the president, not as a Christian first and a president second. You will not bring that office, your faith through the office. That means, like my brother here says, you will run a government based on justice and fairness and on constitutionalism, and you'll be fair to everybody. Why not? I don't understand why Pastor Vice President Osibanjo was 7 years in the villa has not. I haven't seen anybody said I got an advantage as a Christian because I had a senior pastor of the Redeemed Church who was the Vice President of Nigeria. I haven't seen that.
Perhaps one of the and you might wish to come into these. There are perceptions about annihilation or humiliation or attacks on the Christian faith in some part of the country. Perhaps it has risen the tension on that tolerance level in the country, and perhaps that's the reason why some would say in the Nigeria of today, if we are sensitive, that the sensitivities are to be considered in religion, in our ethnicity, and in all of our political interplays. All of these things are to be considered. I mean, isn't that reasonable?
Can I just ask a question before my brother responds? All the conflict, all the attacks, there have been attacks on the communities. Communities that are in a minority setting have been attacked. We have had instances where people have been vulnerable, they've been exposed, they've been attacked. What does that have to do with faith? Will those attacks cease because somebody of a particular faith is a vice president or a president? That is a fundamental problem in the country about managing pluralism that cannot be assuaged because one person has been made a vice president because he's a Christian, or another person has become a Muslim because he... This is a game that is being played by an elite that has identified faith as a decisive weapon for fighting each other. The people who have died, the lady who died with the 4 children who was murdered a few weeks ago in the southeast, the pregnant woman with 4 children who was slaughtered in the southeastern part of the country. She didn't die because Buhari is the president. Maybe the people who killed her there just killed her because she was
those who bring up the issue of Deborah.
Right. Exactly.
And there is another person in Abuja here. And these are recent issues that have brought concern to people. And we cannot ignore these kind of issues.
The problem is leadership. Everything rises and falls on leadership. Followers go as far as leaders can go. And that's why I made the case from the beginning that if my northern leaders who came together and said for equity's sake that it should be zoned to the south, come together to say for equity's sake, a Christian candidate from the north should be the vice presidential candidate. It means they will back what they say by talking to the people who follow them. Some of this, and I agree with Dr. Ahmed, most of the crises you see around, they are not so much of faith. They are more of communal issues, interest, insurgency, and then politicians also feed on them. And that is why, in my view, responsibility calls for people who hold certain positions to act. Like, I am not under the illusion that because people are agitating, the party will definitely get to pick Muslim and Christian. No. Mine is to provide my perspective in the hope that the party will consider informing their decision. Because if you believe in me over the years to support the government, to support the party, to defend the government, and at this time you say I should shut my mouth and not express my opinion regarding this matter, that I feel is important to my constituency where I come from, then I don't think you're being fair.
All right. Let's take a breather, everyone. There are some who are of the view that perhaps one of the major tasks of the next president of this country is to unite the nation. Perhaps all of these issues are not far away from what is characterizing our politics today. We'll take a break, and when we come back, our closing moment with Dr. Hakim Baba Ahmed and Mr. Daniel Bwala. And my next guest will be the presidential candidate of the ABC. Don't forget that yesterday we reported that Professor Kingsley Mahalo had dumped the party, alleging there was money politics. Mr. Dumebi Kachuku will be joining us, and will be telling us what really happened at that primary. Was there kind of monetization of the process? Was there inducement? Stay with us, everyone. We'll be right back. Thank you so much, everyone. Our closing moment now with Dr. Hakim Baba Ahmed, the spokesperson of the Northern Elders Forum. I'm a member of the PRP, and Mr. Daniel Bwala, a lawyer, member of the APC, and also members of the Lincoln's Inn. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for coming now on the program. The conversation around the sensitivities of our polity and how we need to move forward. Now, in conclusion, on this conversation, is to the fact that numbers matter a lot in our politics. If you want to win an election, you need to look at the numbers. And you look at the northwest region of the country, you look at the southwest of the country, you consider the northeast of the country, you consider the south, and all of that. Now, the question is, and I'm not saying this because I know you have your party leanings, but I'd like to ask, how tough do you think this election, this particular cycle will be?
I think that it's going to be a lot less tougher than people think. I think the political consciousness is high, has been quite possibly highest I have seen since I became an adult. The 2023 will be a landmark election where the ordinary people will make the difference. And they will make, I think that they will make a choice based on their experiences. They will defy expectations. They will make nonsense of a lot of the permutations that are going on. The kind of things that politicians are putting store in will be ignored. I think that insecurity, poverty, divisions in the country are going to become major issues that people are going to vote on. And if I was to advise one single politician who is looking for office, I would say be very careful. Don't play to the wrong gallery. Pay attention to how ordinary people feel. They feel abandoned by leadership. They feel angry that they have been abandoned to violence. And they will vote for people, not so much for parties. They will vote for competence, not for faith or for your language. They will vote for a future for their children and not for the traditions of the party. That's my advice to that. And for the next leadership, they need to understand that this election, this 2023 election, will actually make a difference on whether the country survives entirely or goes down entirely.
Mr. Bwala, you think this is a make or ma, this election?
Well, analytics have actually analyzed, based on the dynamics we have on ground, that the first election may not present a clear winner in the first ballot. That it may call for a run. Because if you look at Kwankwaso dimension and Peter Obi dimension, then it is very likely that no political party will win and also secure all the 24. That's why some of us are giving our opinion that we believe is very important for the party, so that in one strike you win. You don't have to call for a recall, because if there is a recall, if there is a rerun, then this political party's alliance might be a problem for our party.
And there was a very, someone who challenged your candidate yesterday very strongly on the program here.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Did you watch that?
Yes, Dino Melaye. You know, he's comedic. And I think that he enjoys what he does. But those who watch, they know what is there or not. I was even surprised, quite frankly, that instead of focusing on issues, he was talking about personality. You are going to see the difference in this current dispensation in the electioneering campaign with the previous one. The two people on the two major political parties are Democrats, and they respect each other. So it's going to be an issue-based campaign where the progressive ideology of APC that believe in strong middle class, raising the taxes, providing safety net for the people, will be sold to the Nigerian people against PDP's belief that a free market economy with strong entrepreneurship is what will create jobs. We are going to educate the people, and I'm hopeful that the media also will help. Rather than people coming to the TV to say Asiwaju is 80 years, Asiwaju is not healthy, and then the other political
Can you take
party,
that away? Because the fact remains that the personalities and their capacity and fitness for office will also be challenged.
Fitness for office is there in the Constitution. Until and unless you have incapacity of the body of the mind, you are eligible. It's a mundane argument. And these people who come to argue, they may even have medical condition. Who know they fall sick?
In English. I'm saying what is. I'm asking. I mean, you just spoken pidgin English.
Yes, what I'm saying is, as you are sitting asking me a question, you can fall sick. Dr. Ahmed can fall sick. I can fall sick. Do you understand? Asiwaju, in the last how many months I have met him? Around 2-something a.m. we were talking on an important issue. He was looking vibrant and strong. This man has traversed the length and breadth of this country not long after he had the knee surgery. And some senile people are talking about that he doesn't have health to become president.
You know, Mr. Boala, you have to forgive people up to a point. This country has paid tremendously from the illnesses, unfortunate illnesses of President Buhari.
But he was not sick when he got into office.
I understand that. But now they will learn a lesson. If you give them a candidate who is 55 or 60, and they look at a 75-year-old man, you have to forgive ordinary Nigerians if they say, we want our president in the villa, not all the time flying out of the country.
The skepticism is coming from somewhere. It has a history.
Yes, and it is informed by experience. That is why I'm saying, be very careful. A clever politician will be very, very careful about not recreating the circumstances under which we live. And these two major parties, unfortunately, maybe they realize it, maybe they don't. They are just simply
certainly the 2023 election is not going to be a relay, boxing, wrestling, or football. It is a game of the intellect, ideas, and how you can deploy those ideas and create good governance.
And hopefully it should be a completely different game that does not reinvent the leadership that is just leaving.
We will ensure that.
All right. Thank you so much. It's been a very interesting conversation tonight.
Yes,
Dr. Akim Baba Ahmed, thank you so much. And Mr. Daniel Boala, what a civil conversation we've had tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us. Right. Well, let's tell you that Kingsley Moghalu, a former deputy governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, resigned his membership of the African Democratic Congress, ADC. Moghalu announced his decision to leave the party in a letter dated June 13, 2022, and addressed to Okenwosu, ADC National Chairman. The former CBN deputy governor's decision comes days after he lost the party's presidential ticket to Dumebi Kachiku, founder of Roots Television. Dumebi Kachiku won the presidential ticket of the African Democratic Congress, ADC. He floored Kingsley Moghalu, a former presidential candidate of the Young Progressive YPP, and Chuka Monye to win the ticket. He polled 977 votes and was announced the winner, while Moghalu, his closest challenger, got 589 votes. Monye came third with 339 votes. Well, there's been the conversation, and of course, that's a portion of the letter Kingsley Moghalu wrote where he resigned, describing the situation as obscene financial inducement. He said, I've resigned because the process and conduct of the party's presidential primary on June the 8th, 2022 at Abeokuta between me revealed a fundamental clash of values between me and your leadership of the party, referring to the national chairman of the party. He went further to say, for me to remain a member of the ADC, therefore, after what thousands of party members participated in at Abeokuta, would be to endorse political corruption of a most obscene order. Let's speak with the man who got a ticket and who won the race. I'm being joined by Mr. Dumebi Kachiko, the presidential candidate of the ADC. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Sheo.
And congratulations on your emergence.
Thank you, Sheo.
How does it feel, though?
Very good. Worked very, very hard. The people rewarded our hard work with their votes, and I feel very, very good. But it also comes with a huge sense of responsibility because I can now carry a mantle of responsibility to deliver to Nigerians, you know, a promise long foretold at a time like this. Nigeria is in a precarious position, and Nigeria needs serious people. And in this election season, we have to start looking at serious issues. In your I'll let you get to.
All right, great. So, did you foresee that you were going to defeat a Kingsley Mahal who was perhaps a more popular aspirant than yourself?
More popular, it depends on how you look at it. Okay, Kingsley's run for office, but
and he's been a deputy governor of the central bank.
He's been a deputy governor.
He's been in the public space for, a while.
He's been in public space for a while, but I've been an activist for forever. I've been doing what I'm doing now for a very, very long time, and those people in that space know me very well. So Kingsley's active in the Twitter space. I'm very active in the Facebook space. The Twitter space, I think, has about 200,000 followers. In the Facebook space, corporate account, I have about 700,000 followers. They know me, they watch me every week, they see my commentary. Popular is about vision, what you're looking at.
Let me go further to ask.
Yeah.
In all of what happened,
yeah.
Did you pay the delegates some money?
Absolutely not. You know, I'm extremely dismayed that Kingsley, someone who I believe to be honorable, will defame not only myself, you know, by inference, he defamed my party, he defamed the delegates and desecrated the process that brought me as a candidate. We worked very hard. As a politician, I understood that this was a delegate election. A delegate election, you bring yourself before the delegates. I was meeting the delegates on a zonal basis. Kingsley was not meeting delegates. Kingsley was having meetings with 3 people per state. I was meeting an average of 30, 40 people per state. So the delegates knew me. They came there knowing who I was. I was on a first-name basis with these people. He didn't know these people. And then he accused, he inferred that I paid the delegates. But if you see what's happening, as the leader of the party, I have to defend my party, and I've asked the party to forward a petition to the EFCC immediately, because the state chairman who he actually paid for their votes are now forwarding details of that payment to the party to say how Kingsley paid them 1 million naira through an Echo Challenge account. They're all forwarding the details because we won't take it up. We don't want a situation where someone loses an election and then the person tries to
So this is a counter-allegation now.
Oh, yes.
I mean,
you know,
he said that money played a role
and
in,
he was actually
well, you are now saying that he paid money.
He was the one who actually paid money from an account called Echo Challenge to several states.
Do you have evidence to this?
Absolutely, I can show you. I can show you on my phone. So we've asked the legal advisors to our party to forward the petition to the EFCC because the state chairmen are accusing him of actually trying to buy their votes. He sent 1 million naira each to some state chairmen. Some people he gave cash on the morning of the primaries. So for someone who did that, for him to come and defame my party, by inference defame me, is absolutely wrong.
So you didn't pay a dime to anyone?
I didn't pay a dime. I worked very hard. I went into the primaries that very day believing that I was going to lose because on the eve of the primaries, I had said to the delegates, I hosted them at a dinner on the eve of the primaries, and I said to them, listen, 1,600 people here, I will have you guys understand that I'm not paying anybody for any votes. If you are here, I hope you're here because you trust and believe I'm the man for the job. Some people cried. They were very upset. Okay? I lost about 500 to 600 people because I made that statement. So when I went into that hall, I believed I was going to lose. When the first 2-3 states came and started voting, I asked for my laptop and said, type in my concession speech. I didn't know who was going to win, but all I was saying, thanking the party and saying, committing myself, supporting the party if I lost, because I thought I was going to lose. But later on in the process, when some of the northern states started coming on and seeing their body language and the way they were smiling at me, I realized I was still in the race. The goodness of man, if you trust it, is what prevailed. So the very same person who was paying delegates has made very, very serious allegations against myself and against my party.
So hosting the delegates to a dinner, do you see it as any kind of inducement?
Absolutely not. It was a dinner that I hosted all delegates, irrespective of affiliation or who they were supporting.
So whatever you give in politics, and I'm not talking about Nigeria alone, in politics generally, what is the extent of an inducement?
Inducement is if you give someone money in exchange for their vote. We had delegates come from all over Nigeria, and these delegates are people, most of them are people at the lower rung of the ladder.
Did you transport them or not?
Of course we transported them, and we quartered the delegates.
No, but did you, as an aspirant, transport some of the delegates?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Did you house them?
We not only transported, we quartered the delegates. And why did we do this? Like I said, there are people at the lower rung of the ladder, but let me tell you this so you understand what we mean.
So let's clarify it.
Yes.
You housed some of them and you transported them.
Not house some of them. I made provision for absolutely all delegates, irrespective of who they were voting for.
So you were the one who housed all of the delegates?
Not me, all the candidates. So we agreed that these people could not afford it, so it was important for us to bring these delegates to the convention. So it didn't matter who they were voting for. We wanted to make sure we had a convention. It is a legal process for us to have a certain number of delegates there. So all the aspirants contributed to this process for the delegates to come to the convention. But bringing delegates to the convention and paying delegates money on the eve or the morning of the convention is something totally different. And this is what some aspirants were doing. Do you understand? Paying them money on the eve or morning of the convention after they had arrived at the convention, that's you buying their votes. And that was against everything we agreed as a party and as aspirants to that process. It was totally wrong. And that's what some aspirants were doing.
It's interesting. So now that you have emerged, you say you're going to take this up. I mean, Professor Moghalu's reaction, you're going to take it up. But now, where do you go from here? Have you picked a running mate yet?
It's a very serious process to pick a running mate. When consultation is, the parties involved are talking to well-meaning Nigerians. We want to make sure we pick the right person. The running mate is next. What's one phone call, one step away from being the president of Nigeria. So I'm consulting widely, looking for someone who's going to represent my party, who's going to represent me, who's going to represent all Nigerians. In the next few days, that announcement will be made.
Do you see yourself as Nigeria's next president?
Absolutely. Yes.
What gives you that confidence?
I just watched the earlier interview. We'll see the candidates who have emerged from the other parties. We know that there's an our party from Nigerians towards elections, but right now Nigerians are energized. Nigerians have said they've had enough. They've had enough of those who they believe have destroyed the country, coming to posture and present themselves again for office. And Nigerians are all saying, you know what, we're not going to do this. You can see a lot of people going out to get their PVCs. And people, I mean, if you hear chatter, even though a lot of us believe that chatter on social media does not get votes, but we see that Nigerians are all determined that this is the last bus stop for a lot of these people. We have a long period before the elections proper, and what's going to happen is that we are going to see people, see the candidates prove themselves in the field. People want to hear from them. People want to hear what they have to offer. People want to discuss the issues. In the last interview they said, talked about issues. It's going to be an issues-based campaign, and we have a long time for us to advance our arguments and advance the issues. It will be an interesting period, but I certainly believe that it's our time. It's time for Nigerians to take back their country.
Because people are now talking about people who look at a personality. I mean, those are some of the issues that have been raised, that personalities might matter. People might vote outside of party concentrations, and also whether the issues that are confronting the Nigerian people are going to come into the front burner. Of course, we in the media will try to make sure that that characterizes the campaign and we push those forward. But beyond that is the quality of character of those who want to be in office.
Absolutely.
What do you think you have that makes you stand out or makes you think that you have the character of the next president of Nigeria?
So the next president of Nigeria should be someone who's able to handle the multifaceted issues we have as a country. I hear a lot of media personalities ask people questions. What is going to be your top focus? We have a country that's born that's leaking multiple holes, multiple problems. And it's got to be someone who is able to handle multiple problems at the same time. Running multiple businesses in multiple places, dealing with multiple issues in a time where the global economy is challenged, right? It positions me to be in good stead to handle many of the issues we have, the myriad issues we have in Nigeria. The critical sectors to revamping our economy and revamping our country are some of the sectors I operate in right now. But beyond that, the president we need in Nigeria right now is someone who's able to galvanize all Nigerians around the common vision, around the common charter. What is lacking in decades in our country is a common charter. That's why in the last interview, you kept on hearing Muslim tickets, North, East, and South, because we don't have a common charter. We all see ourselves from ethnic enclaves, right? We are Nigerians first and foremost, so we need to galvanize Nigerians around that common charter. When we galvanize Nigerians around the common charter, then you now have to start getting competent people, okay? We need to start promoting meritocracy, so I'll get competent people who are able to implement the vision of the president. That's what I'm bringing to the table in the next dispensation.
Have you been able to clear the air about some of the allegations against your person in some transactions that have happened in the past with you and some other persons that have gone awry?
Absolutely no issues on allegations. What typically happens in Nigeria, especially in the political process, is that allegations were made in the media. But I will tell you this: I am one candidate in this electioneering process who has absolutely no legal, no criminal baggage, no case anywhere in the world, absolutely nothing.
But there were allegations against you?
Allegations are merely allegations. And if you look at this process, absolutely everyone in the top 1% of Nigeria has had allegations made against them, had loads of EFCC cases.
But are there cases that have been taken to the EFCC against you?
So, like I said, allegations have been made, allegations that were unfounded. Even the EFCC said those allegations were unfounded. I have absolutely no criminal case anywhere in the world. So I stand, that's why I stand boldly before Nigerians presenting myself, okay? So I refuse, the reason why I founded Roots TV, for example, is because you have people making accusations, throwing accusations at you, and then they come behind the back door and say, oh, pay us to take this down. That's why I founded Roots TV, because I wanted to show how ethical journalism should be practiced in Nigeria.
All right. On a final note, the question would be if you have the wherewithal, I mean, not talking about you alone, but your party, wherewithal in terms of the structure, wherewithal in terms of the financing that will help you. I mean, campaigning in Nigeria of a general election is a huge, huge business.
The number one wherewithal for any election is the goodwill of the people. That's what we have, the goodwill of the people. That's what's going to take us.
And you think Peter Obi, and Atiku Abubakar, Akwankwanso, Bola Tinubu is not a threat to your ambition?
I don't worry about them. The people, we have the goodwill of the people. The people will show the goodwill come to.
And who are these people? What section of the public?
Nigerians. All Nigerians. Nigerians who are fed up of the status quo. Nigerians who are fed up of the same people presenting themselves all the time to position themselves or posture to lead Nigeria. These are the people that we have their goodwill. They want a change. They want to go in a 360 direction. They want to see a new set of people leading them in the right direction, a direction of shared prosperity. Those are the people we're referring to. We have their goodwill.
Mr. Dumebi Kachuku, the presidential candidate of the ADC, thank you so much indeed for coming tonight, and I wish you the very best. It's going to be a marathon.
Thank you, Sheil, for having me.
Thank you so much. And you need the energy and the good and the wishes. And that's our show for tonight, everyone. Many thanks for watching. I'm Sheil Akimale. Bye for now.